June the 9th, 2023. Guys, you're looking at satellite images over parts of Canada and the U.S. And you can see here in the northeast, we've been watching, you're starting to get a little smoke build up here. We hope it doesn't get as bad as it was, but we are getting a fresh supply coming out of Canada. Again, the same thing's still happening. This low pressure system is rotating counterclockwise. The smoke is pouring off into the Atlantic, pretty thick in some areas, mixing back into the cloud cover and recircling back over you guys. It's going. This is going all the way up the East Coast and to Norway, all the way across, guys. It's just one continuous plume. And when you talk about volcanic activity like we have and the smoke that's there, smoke from wildfires, they circumnavigate the Earth. Now, pretty clear over the Great Lakes so far. You can still see some remnants of smoke and some of the thinner smoke that's still coming through. What we were seeing yesterday is what was coming out of Canada, which is very thick, guys. Notice this right here. It just looks like what was over New York. It was being pulled up further north and possibly out into the Atlantic over this map. But you see this dive starting right there? Let's see what. Right here. This is diving down. This is going to force this smoke back under and into here. That's what it looks like to me. Now, we're going to look a little closer up into Canada. We still have some fires going, and they're moving over into the very west coast section. Now, I've got this paused, and I've got this on what's called the natural color fire, and it will pick up heat signatures of not only the fire on the ground, but even in the clouds that's above the fire as they warm. Now, I've got it paused, and you may not can see this, guys. Early this morning, it was a little more obvious, but there's like infrared glowing red dots here, and I'm going to play it forward, and you'll notice that the clouds right above it still are maintaining the heat. And if you'll look right here, you've got Saskatchewan, you've got Alberta and British Columbia here. Now, the fires were big when we first started covering this, were mostly in Alberta. There's still some, but some of the ones we're watching now are over on the west coast inside British Columbia. But notice the red tint in this cloud. This is smoke from the fires. Let's play this forward. Now, this is called, again, natural color with fire, and you can see the heated clouds. You can see the smoke. And as it gets further away from the fire source, some of that red dies down. But right here is our thickest amount, and you can see it. Check that out. Now, I'm going to change this satellite filter. Now, I've got it paused here. What you're seeing in the gray is nighttime infrared. To the right is the sunrise. I've got it paused. But these black areas right here, British Columbia, are fires. Check that out. That's what it looks like. It's not the lakes or some of the other things you see here, but these are actual fires. And the heaviest now is moved into British Columbia. People from there are saying we're too early for fire season, and there's some drought conditions. How long will this go on through summer? That's an important question because it's going to cause a lot of problems. It already is for people with health problems. It's pets are having problems. They're saying, guys, don't leave your pets out where the smoke is thick like this. All kind of problems. Of course it is. You're not supposed to breathe all the chemicals that are in the wildfire, plus whatever gets mixed in as it burns through certain areas, and you know what. But again, let's play this forward. Look at the concentration of smoke here. You can tell it from the clouds very easily along this area here, and it's being concentrated and compacted because of two different fronts in this area and pushed right down into that trough and that funnel that we saw a few days ago as it pushed over the East Coast very thick. And this is very reminiscent of that. Will it be spread out and thin by the time it gets there? We're not sure, but this is what we got going on this morning. Now, let's go up to the central part of southern Canada here. Notice this wildfire smoke here. It's hard to see in these images, but there were a lot of fires starting here yesterday, here and here. So you're just adding to the volume of smoke. Reminds me of how from volcanoes and wildfires were burning here millions of years before man ever had the chance to light a fire from lightning. And there was no way to stop it then. There was no firefighters. It's kind of like now. You've got some in there that are trying, but most of our resources are in Europe, and enough resources in just one shipment to have all this put out. They don't want to. They want to do everything they can to destroy mankind. But guys, this is getting a little out of control. Look at it again. Look in this area here. Now I'm going to show you a couple of other things, but first let's just stop here for a moment. We talked about global cooling and things like that, but this is Northeast solar power falls amid fires, and this is just in the last few days. It says solar power generation in parts of the northeastern U.S. has taken a significant hit in recent weeks, primarily due to smoke from wildfires in Canada. A thick shroud of smoke has caused solar power production in these areas to plummet by more than 50%. Solar farms at Power New England, for example, were generating 50% or 56% less energy at peak demand times compared to just a week before. The ISO New England is a nonprofit independent regional transmission organization that provides services to 6 states of the New England region: Connecticut, Maine, Massachusetts, New Hampshire, Rhode Island, and Vermont. So you've kind of got a mixed bag here. You've got the global cooling aspect of it. You're going to have power generation problems. What's it going to be blamed on? Climate change, of course. And they will use charts like this against us. We've got to do something. They're going to say we're going to carbon tax everybody to death, and we're going to attach it to your digital coin that's coming up, the digital system to control you and your money. Now, guys, remember how thick it was in New York? Let's go back a couple of days and look at Quebec. This is moving all the way from the west coast of Canada to the east coast. That's Hudson Bay in the top left. But in just a matter of moments, and other people have talked about this, this is still COD radar. Look at how many fires started instantaneously. Also, notice the smoke is blowing south above these fires, but look north of there, how much smoke is coming from above that and feeding into that trough that got you guys into the East Coast just a few days ago. Terrible damage to people's health and pets' health and everything else. But you can count over 20 starting at the same time. That is not nature. I don't know what group is doing it. There's been reports of helicopters going through parts of Canada. I'm not sure if this was where it was, and I think there's a video out there. I haven't found it yet. I just saw reports that there is a video showing helicopter dropping out fire along some of these areas. Now, this would have been coordinated between multiple groups because as it sweeps across, they ignite. Again, I counted 20, and there may be more. But my concern is this is as far as we can look up north on this particular satellite, but there's a lot of smoke coming down above these fires and then adding to this. That's why New York got hit so hard. It wasn't just West Coast fires. It's all combining. Guys, these fires there was no lightning. There was no storms above them. If it was not man-made, we are dealing with the North American craton, and if that shifts, we don't know if there's volcanic activity under it. We don't know that yet. But I do know these were almost lit simultaneously, and there are dozens of them. And I'll have to redo a video on the North American craton, and we'll look at that more in depth. Some of you may remember it was a pretty good video the first time we did it. Now we're looking at a totally different aspect of what could be happening underneath it. But if it's not that, we've got some very nefarious characters. And they're out like demons running wild. More than likely part of the government there. And trying to do as much damage as they can. They know their time is short. Our Lord is getting ready. A lot of people say, well, you've heard that a long time. Well, Say what you will, you just better be ready for it. We're watching it. You watch it, guys. It's a heads up. Be safe.